Hello Gemini, and welcome to your reading for July. Gemini, this is a new channel. As you can see, I plan great and hopefully helpful things with this channel. So if you like the content, like and subscribe, and if what I'm doing here is resonating with you, please leave a comment. I'm very curious to learn about in what way this may be resonating with you. That's always interesting for me to read and to learn. So Gemini, as always, I'm doing a reading about the recent past, the present, and the future. Okay, these are dark mirror oracle cards, and these are cards with quotes from the ancient Chinese book, The Art of War. They're not necessarily about war directly, but about conflict, human conflict, either with other people or within ourselves. So they are fantastic for conflict resolution or for finding answers to specific questions. And as always, I am going to finish the reading with a card that shows an image from a fairy tale, because I love fairy tales for how deep they are and how much they can teach us about human nature and about human all kinds of life situations, the human psyche, human interaction, and so forth. There's so much wisdom in them. Okay, so that's my personal combination. It's working really well for me because it's really good for going deep, and that's what I like to do. Okay, Gemini, let's start with showing you what the fairy tale card is. Okay, this card here shows a painting that is a scene from Snow White. Okay, so Snow White in her glass coffin in the woods, and her little friends are all around her mourning her. They're holding flowers, and they don't know yet that she is in fact still alive. There are two candles at her side, at either side of her head, and she herself is, it's so beautiful how she is portrayed here. She looks like a bride, and of course we know already from the fairy tale that she is going to find her prince, or more like the prince is going to find her, and she is going to survive. She is going to come back from the dead, if you wish, and the toxic piece of apple is going to come out of her system, and she can breathe again, and she can live. And so she looks like a bride. Look, she's even holding flowers in her hands. She has flowers all around her head. It's absolutely beautiful. Let me just quickly check from when the painting is. It says on the other side, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, France, from 1911. This is. It doesn't say by whom, but it can be found. The original can be found in the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris. So it's a beautiful painting, gorgeous. So I'm putting this here for now. And so let us start with the recent past, Gemini, what the recent past has been like for you, or what the main conflict may have been. Okay, so here the card is Alone in the World. Alone in the world. Okay, so you see this beautiful scene where this naked woman is sitting on the bench with beautiful flowing fabrics, and it's I don't know, it looks like it could be in Italy maybe, or something like this, I'm not quite sure. And there's this beautiful ancient building, and so she is in this courtyard, garden like place, and she's all by herself. And Alone in the World, this is a card that tells us about solitude. That could be a card about loneliness, about all kinds of loneliness. You see, Gemini, there are different kinds of loneliness, aren't there? There is being alone, being at peace with oneself, and being completely content with that. There is a loneliness when you are with people, which many people say is the worst kind of loneliness. And there is loneliness when you're by yourself and you're actually very uncomfortable. Okay, but there's also, not just the physical loneliness, if you wish, but there's a sense of isolation here, of self-isolating yourself emotionally. Okay, so maybe you were facing situations in the past where you felt it's not quite safe to open up towards others, so you kept it all hidden within yourself. But I feel actually, Gemini, this may be a situation where you felt you had to deal with things by yourself, and you were seeking strength in solitude, and that includes also withdrawing and maybe daydreaming, maybe getting strength from escaping in some way mentally, which is not the worst thing to do. That can actually be very helpful. Altogether, a very beautiful card, but it can mean that you were more alone than you would have liked to, or that would have been good for you. Okay, so let's see what the quote below says about the recent past. It says, Sun Tzu said, "It is only one who is acquainted with the evils of war that can thoroughly understand the profitable way of carrying it on." Okay, so as always, war itself, whenever it's mentioned here, it usually stands for conflict. It does not need to be actual literal war. That goes without saying. And here the interpretation of this quote is, consider the cost of an argument. Right? Show you quickly how this is on the other side. I think the cards are gorgeous, by the way. And here it says, before you start an argument with someone, be it a partner, a friend, or a colleague, consider the consequences of doing so. If it goes too far, the fallout may be bitter, resulting in bad blood, grudges, and a breakdown in communication. Even if you win the argument, what you win may no longer be worth having. Okay, so this is a situation where, so this is very interesting. It seems to me that it could be that in the past you dealt with a person that was stonewalling you, right? It's one of the most toxic ways of dealing with conflict, is to just shut down and be silent, and just refuse to communicate. Now, maybe that was, Gemini, because you were with a person who didn't know how else to communicate in a situation of conflict, which is of course very, very damaging if this happened for you. If you are the one yourself who is sometimes prone to withdrawing in a conflict situation because you don't feel comfortable or safe, or maybe clueless, and there's nothing wrong with that, there's nothing to feel bad about. Maybe you just don't know how to deal in a conflict situation because it just makes you freeze. But then what results from this is that sometimes don't seek out communication, but withdraw and hope that everything is going to be okay, right? And so it's very important for you to learn, Gemini, if this is how things are for you, that either way, silent treatment, so to speak, they're slightly unpleasant names, but you know what I mean. Silent treatment and stonewalling, they're just not good for the all-over situation, okay? If it's yourself who's struggling with communication in a stressful situation, try to communicate this to your partner. Listen, I know everyone argues, but I sometimes just, I freeze, I get terrified, or I'm just so upset and hurt. I feel misunderstood, so I just withdraw. I'm trying to do this differently. Bear with me while I'm learning to open up more and release myself from my own cave into which I withdraw. Okay, it's nothing personal. I'm not doing this to punish you. I'm just confused. Now, Gemini, if you're with a person who's either incapable of dealing with conflict, and you experience this as something damaging and hurtful, this person needs to be willing to work with you. If this person is not willing to work on these issues, or God forbid, if this person is maybe using silent treatment as a way to punish you, you need to remove yourself from the situation. I'm not suggesting a breakup if this is a romantic situation, but you cannot be repeatedly under the stress of being the one who is seeking out communication and who's being who's trying to break through an invisible wall, actually. And this is energy you need for yourself. You see, you need to go within yourself. You need to. This is why the card of solitude here is also a healing card. Right? This is so peaceful and so calming. And the more we are wasting our energy towards the outside, towards the outer world, in a way that it does not yield any visible or obvious results. This is energy we're not getting back. This is energy that we're depleting ourselves from. And we need this energy to be within us so that we can shine and be happy and thrive. Okay? So, let me just quickly see if there's anything else that this wants to say. Yeah, consider the cost of an argument. You know, of course, this can also mean a dialogue that you're having within yourself, right? One can very much have an argument with oneself along the lines of, how could I not see this before? Why didn't I do this or that in a certain situation? But it can also be something where we put ourselves down, and our confidence is suffering from that. So this is not good. So considering the cost of an argument also means, if you feel withdrawn, or if you felt withdrawn in the recent past, you maybe did so to protect yourself. And you know, that inner voice that sometimes is too critical with ourselves, that inner voice, you know, we have the power to make this shut up. And we have to find the strength, the inner strength and the discipline to do this, to decide, no more. I deserve to find inner peace and calm. I deserve to thrive and not constantly beat myself up. You know, things go wrong. We make the wrong decisions. It's fine. You decide when this conflict is over. Inner conflict, possibly. If it's conflict with other people, it needs to be the same, right? You decide, you and the other person, when the conflict is over. That can go for a relationship in which you are still. Okay. So try to keep it a bit down. You can still express what you feel, and you should. But you know, for the two of you, if this has been an issue in the past, that fights were going on for too long, and while you were trying to solve things, it actually made things worse. Sometimes it's better to make it short and then be more practical about it. And so go away for a while and then come back, and then you know, once you've both cooled down, and then talk briefly and not make it these hour-long discussions. They do way more harm than good. But if you have already broken up with someone, or if you have parted ways with someone who was important with you, really important, Gemini, for you to decide when it's time for the ruminating, for the inner conflict, those questions that don't want to be silent in your head, for this turmoil to be over, because it needs to be a decision at some point. It needs to be a decision where you say, no more. I want peace and quiet. I want that kind of life. And for that, I need to decide that maybe I will never know if I made the right choice, because this is something we ruminate over so much. You know, was it the right thing to leave? Well, the thing is, the answer to this is actually very, very simple. And it's something that will solve this inner conflict, this inner argument, you know, the to and fro between the different possibilities. And we'll finish this immediately, and that is, how did this person make you feel? How did they go out of their way to listen to you and to try and meet your needs, try to be open to your different opinions? How understood did you feel in the moment? did you have the feeling that they were trying really hard to create a connection or to strengthen the bond between you? That could be parents, that could be siblings, friends, a romantic partner, it doesn't matter. And if you had to fight for the bare minimum of you know, a peaceful connection, then you absolutely did the right thing. And that's also what it means to keep an argument short. If this is a long-term thing that happened to you in the past, that there was a person, or maybe different people, even several, where you felt you were putting in so much work to just get onto a level of peaceful and respectful and kind-hearted communication, to develop mutually a skill of peaceful conflict solving, and the other side just did not give you anything, but you had the feeling you had to, it was an uphill battle, then this is what is happening here, or what happened already in the recent past. Either you did this already, or this is an ongoing problem that started in the recent past. For you to say, Gemini, this is an argument that needs to end, and sometimes it only ends by you walking away. Okay, recent past. That's powerful stuff right there. I didn't see that one coming. Okay, so the present. Okay, another powerful card. This is the card of sacrifice. Okay, I love these cards. I think they're quite dark, but I think this is beautiful. So you see how she wears a suit of armor, and it looks really, really beautiful and powerful. She has a sword in her hand, and by the way, no matter if the cards show men or women, it doesn't matter. So it's about the energy. If the card shows a woman and you're a man watching this, it honestly doesn't matter. This card is still for you, right? It does not mean that this is now then about a woman in your life. It's not how it works. Okay, so and you see that she is in the shadows, but there is a gleam of light, a sunbeam over her, the left side of her face, and also on the left side of her, over the left side of her chest, which is the heart side. So there is an element of illumination here, but she is very protective, right? So Gemini, right now, because you felt maybe it's not safe to open up, and so you are withdrawing within yourself. Maybe that's why you're then putting on this suit of armor, because frankly, you felt it was not safe to be in the situation not with a suit of armor. You had to be strong. You want to be all naked and vulnerable and feel safe to be without the suit of armor. That's her after the battle, right? I know this is a card representing the recent past, you know, but so that means very clearly in the past, there was a point where you felt safe to show yourself like that and not be prepared constantly for battle. So Gemini, you are still in a very difficult situation, be it internally with inner monologue, right, as we've discussed here already, or you're actually still in a situation that is quite tricky, where you feel you need to be armed. That is one aspect. Of course, there is hope, represented by that sunbeam here, right? So that means the sun is out there. So it's as if she has to battle her way out of something. It's as if she is in a dark building. It looks like one of these crusader churches or something like this. You see the windows, yeah, and the thick walls. I think it's something like that. So outside there is warmth and there's sunshine. You know, does she really need to battle in order to have her face in the light? Or can she just open the door and walk out? And then, of course, the other meaning of the card sacrifice. Okay, it could be, Gemini, that right now the situation you're in requires for you to be extra tough, okay? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It can mean that it makes us stronger, that we grow from it, and that it's just something right now where you have to push through. okay? But at the same time, make sure that you take good care of yourself, eat well, stay hydrated, exercise, all of these things that are really important to strengthen ourselves and our mental health, okay? But also understand that sacrifice can mean sacrificing in the right direction, not in the wrong one. Ask yourself, have I been sacrificing too much in the wrong place? Or am I doing this right now? Am I sacrificing parts of myself right now in the situation that I'm in? And it could be so much easier. I could simply take off that suit of armor and feel light and naked and still safe. If you're in a situation right now where you feel you cannot survive without wearing that massive, heavy suit of armor, then you may want to ask yourself what needs to change, or where you need to go, so that you can do this. Because this is heavy. A suit of armor is a heavy burden. Of course, you get stronger also while you wear it, but because it's frankly a fantastic workout, right? You're carrying around something with you constantly that is so heavy. But you see, Gemini, at the same time, be careful that this is not something you get used to too much, because it means that you start to perceive yourself as a creature wearing a suit of armor. It's like a tortoise with a shell. It's part of that animal. It's normal, but for us human beings, it's not natural. And we only need this in battle. And so ask yourself, Gemini, right now, in the present moment, how should I put this? In what way does that suit of armor you're wearing, the self-protection, those walls that you've put up perhaps, to make the blows from the outside softer and less hurtful, in what way does that cover up your soft inside? Does it cause for you to feel emotionally less intensely? Does it cause for you to, I don't know, maybe there's a feminine energy that you lost along the way, and you want to feel like a real woman again. I mean, she's a fantastic warrior, but what is the cost of this right now? Can you be strong and still feel sensitive? Again, Gemini, if you're right now in a situation where you feel you need to wear the suit of armor, and you cannot be vulnerable, and you cannot go through the situation without numbing your emotions, because allowing for these emotions to be at the surface of your being, or be easily accessible both by you and other people around you. If this seems an option that is quite scary, because that means you would feel a lot of hurt that is coming from a situation or from people around you right now, then you need to ask yourself, where do I need to be? Literally, what steps do I need to take to be able to put down the suit of armor so that I can feel like myself again, feel the sensitivity of my skin again, as a sensual element in this as well. Feel the sunshine on my skin, feel the summer breeze blow across my skin, and be able to hug someone and allow the softness of my body to melt into that embrace. Where is the place that I can do that and not feel scared that any moment I may need my sword? Sun Tzu said, "Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness be that of the forest. Be like fire, in immovability like a mountain." And the interpretation of this is, be strong, hold steady. This is amazing how this fits. This is wonderful. Okay? When a close relationship like a marriage goes wrong, The resulting breakup is never easy. But as soon as you are ready, move quickly. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Lay everything on the table. Keep your counsel and don't be rattled by bullshit tactics. I love this. The quicker you get it sorted, the quicker you can move on. Remember, you are probably stronger than you think. I mean, hell yes, is she strong? Amazing. Okay? But also, if something is done, move on quickly. And that is in keeping with this one here. Consider the cost of an argument. Keep your arguments brief. Keep your conflicts brief. On the outside and on the inside. But also, Gemini, be strong, hold steady also means, of course, if right now the situation is tough and you cannot change it right now, you have to come up with a plan to create a situation that is better for you. Then hang in there. Be brave and be strong and find an inner calm. An inner peace and calm, an inner sanctum, if you wish, that allows for you to recharge so that you're not losing your precious energies, but you can keep them for yourself, and you hang in there and you wait until your moment has come to change things so that you can feel like yourself again. Okay? And in the process of this, don't repress. This is not a card. Sacrifice is not a card of repression. Goodness, no. I mean, we don't want. We want to regulate our emotions, but we don't want to repress. And that's a big difference. So, in the situation of having to sacrifice an ideal situation right now for the greater good, or because you still have to, because it's frankly just tough to create a situation where you feel better. This does not mean that you're supposed to repress your emotions underneath that suit of armor while you do so. Okay? So your challenge right now in this moment is to self-regulate your emotions without repressing them. Try to find peace and calm in the knowledge that there's the sunshine is out there, and you are working on things right now to become better. Okay. For the future. Okay. Interesting. So this card is Downcast Pride. Let's allow for this to focus. Downcast Pride. This is a card that stands for depression. And so, Gemini, this does not need to mean that in future you're going to be depressed. What this means is, because this is a shadow work reading, right? So watch out for what you need to avoid in order to be depressed in future. Go within yourself. You see how withdrawn she is. She is completely focused on her inner world. She's listening to her own thoughts, but she's depressed too. So watch out that you find silence in a beautiful place, somehow internally, through daydreaming, through escaping, through maybe, I don't know, it could be something like where you take an afternoon just for yourself, to, I don't know, go swimming or pamper yourself in some way. And if it's just, not everyone needs to have the money to have a spa day or so. These things can be ridiculously expensive, but it can be something like, create an afternoon at home where you literally do all your favorite things, and then without judging yourself, do a bit of journaling. I suggest this to Cancer the other day already, journaling about the question of not just what do you need to do to change things, but first of all, what do you actually want? What would your life need to look like so that you're not depressed? If there are elements in this right now that you can't change right now, try to find joy in other aspects of life. Sometimes we literally can't change if things go wrong. But there's a difference between having to deal with a difficult situation and having to sacrifice pure joy and happiness in the present moment, and full-blown depression where everything goes south. Okay, there's no need for this. And I know this is easily said than done, because I feel you could be dealing, or some of you could be dealing with something quite heavy here. Downcast pride. Okay, this of course is not just a card about depression, but it also means, and this is, I think this is only for some of you. This is a small amount of, this is just for some of you, where you were in a situation in the past where you were keeping quiet about something that really bothered you for way too long, and you sacrificed in this process a really important part of yourself. And now that you realize that you've done this, you feel embarrassment about this and shame. But please be your own best friend here, and be very kind to yourself, because you did the best you could in the situation. And you know, your pride and your feeling of dignity can absolutely recover, you know, because you realize now what is good for you, and that's why this is so important. Move on as quickly as you can from the inner rumination, from constantly asking yourself, should I have done this rather than that. Try to make one thing your goal that you know is going to be healthy for you and good, and then seek it out, then go after it. Sun Tzu said, "Let your rapidity be that of the wind, your compactness be that of the forest." Okay. Oh, this is nice. This is a very positive card. Work fast and tidily. Okay. Once you have started a job or project, put all your focus onto it to make sure you complete it as quickly as possible. Give yourself a deadline and make sure you complete it within that time frame, so it doesn't impinge on other things that you need to do. Wonderful. Okay. You know how depression can be like this huge amount of water without any kind of basin, without any kind of barrier to hold it in. It just goes everywhere. It leaks into everything. So there is an element of lack of control in this, and this is absolutely what depression can be. If you allow for the negative feelings and the negative thoughts, the negative self-talk, or for a negative situation to continue endlessly, this is going to downward spiral. Absolutely 100%. And so this card shows us, if you want to avoid this in your future, work fast and tidily. This doesn't just go for a project that you might be doing, or for your actual work, but this very much means that process related to this. So find out as quickly as possible what it really is that you need to do to not be depressed anymore, Gemini. And no matter how much bravery and courage this needs, go for it. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. So, and now our beautiful fairy tale card. So we have a lot of beautiful air colors here. You're an air sign after all, Gemini. In here we have lots of blue, lots of white. What I realize here about this painting, and I need to pick up the energy as it comes, so it may take a moment or two. Okay, so Snow White and the 7 dwarfs. So you notice that the dwarfs, some of them are looking at her, and some of them are turning away from her, and those who are turning away from her are the ones weeping, and those that are looking at her are the ones not weeping. And I feel there's a message in this somehow. I think, you know, when we lose ourselves in our grief, we lose connection with what is actually important. And let's not forget, she's actually still alive. So this card asks us to not isolate ourselves in our grief. And we already said this is basically a wedding picture. Ask yourself who you are in this picture, Gemini. if you are her in the glass coffin. Understand that the lid of the glass coffin, you see how airy it is. I'm sure it's quite heavy still, but you see what I mean. It's not thick, dark wood. It's glass. You know, the moment she wakes up, she's not going to be terrified. She will be able to see her friends. She'll be able to see the prince, of course, that will be there at that point. She'll be able to see the beauty of nature. So while you may have felt in the past, and for some of you that's maybe still the case, as if you were not quite alive anymore in a certain situation, that your life force was sucked out of you, that you had lost your living, vibrant self, that a part of you, a really important part, had died. Understand that this is not really true, and you can come back to life. And what the part of you that you feel may have died and is not there anymore, please understand that this is not gone. It's just sleeping because of the toxic apple that you were given by an evil person. This could be also a situation, a workplace situation. Also, it doesn't always need to be a romantic relationship. It could be that you're recovering from an illness, and that there is, you know, I can't give any medical advice, so this is not what this is supposed to be. But what I mean is, if you've been physically unwell, you know, and you think, and you're now at a point, Gemini, where you know already you are over the worst, but you still feel quite weak, and you wonder, will I ever come back to my old self? You know, please don't push things. Please don't force things, and just be happy and grateful, if you don't mind me saying, just for every little piece of progress, and get strength from this, and see that this is very much your life force, you know, helping you, healing yourself. Okay. I do feel mostly that this is an emotional or a psychological death that happened here. And know that this part of you can be brought back to life. And now it's your job, Gemini, to figure out what is actually part of me that wants to come back to life. You know, is it fierceness? Is it a carefree attitude? Is it, you know, just joy of being alive? You know, all these, you know, if your light has been darkened by people who couldn't deal with it, right? See how much light there is in this situation. First of all, she's not dead. She's just sleeping. She's just been poisoned by the toxicity of a situation or by people. This is going to leave her system. It's going to come out. And there's so much light there. First of all, it's broad daylight. Sometimes you see this scene at night in a dark forest. Quite creepy, actually. But this is in broad daylight. So many light colors here. So much light and brightness. Even the wreath on her coffin is white. And the white candles on either side, the candles themselves are, of course, that's the fire, the light of life. It's there. And so, let me see if there's anything else. You know, sometimes it takes a destroying of a stoic attitude within ourselves to discover the courage and the boldness we need to say, I actually want to go after that lost part of myself in the first place. So I think this is quite an important element here. So Gemini, again, please, with regard to anything medical, financial, these are very specific things. I can't, you know, I'm not a psychic. This is not what I'm doing here. I'm picking up on energies. I'm an intuitive reader. And so what I mean is, you know, with regard to illness, if you've recovered from something, this is literally only for if you have recovered. I'm not here to tell you, you know, a certain illness is going to turn out that way or another. I can't do this, and that's not what I want to do this. But if you have recently been unwell, or maybe it could be something, it doesn't have to be anything serious. It can be just that you felt a little bit low energy. You know, figure it out what it is that zaps you of your energy, and you know, be good to yourself. Very important, be good to yourself. Because, I mean, you have the strength to do it, absolutely. But the idea really is, at the end of the day, that